all, and welcome back to another thrilling episode of Off the Dome. I'm your humble interviewer, Jordan Brown, and with me, as always, is our dynamic director. Say hi, dynamic director. Tamar, thank you so much for joining me again. Obviously, we're opening with, what the hell was that, Tamar? What did you do to us?
Dude, I just it was, I don't know. I don't even know what I did. I just did it, and it was like I just took the material and just, slapped some shit around, and here we are. But I think that it was that episode truly, once we decided that it was going to be the finale, I was like, okay, now we're just gonna go for it.
And go for it, you did. Goodness gracious. Yeah, obviously we're talking about Augbert, the finale of season 1 of Very Important People. I knew, obviously, Sam had told me, yeah. Eve had told me, you had told me, Vic had told me, everybody was like, the finale's so magical. You're not gonna believe it. And I was not prepared for the Lynchian Cronenbergian nightmare that it became.
I'm just glad that we made it, and it's like I was very basically how it works is Eve and I do a director's cut, and then we send it to the dropout team to give notes on. And I was waiting with bated breath to see if it was something that would fly, and it did. And so I was really, really happy. I mean, look, we kind of had an idea of where it was going to go while we were filming. The shot of Vic waking up to the alarm clock we did as a pickup, and because it was pretty obvious, when we were filming, it was obvious what was going to happen, and then we're like, okay, how are we going to push this even more? So I'm just glad that everyone was on board, and that
Yeah, that was actually, I was super curious. I'm assuming was everything sort of there for those building blocks? That after, I mean, obviously you shoot green screen stuff afterwards, yeah. But Vic's alarm clock noise, everything, you'd already sort of mapped that out, or
no? Basically, it's kind of it's a combo. It's with this episode we mapped out some of the things we mapped out happened after we filmed the interview. And so, but I don't think we even decided to do the alarm clock thing until after that day. And we were like, oh, this would be really funny if, Vic woke up to this alarm clock and it was, all a dream, or was it type of deal. And so that was a pickup that we actually shot on a different day of Vic waking up to the alarm clock. All the sound effects happens after the fact. And that's all stuff that kind of we decide in post. There's not that much time on set to decide much of it, how it was edited, the black and white, the kind of the fever dream vibe, that stuff was kind of all in post. But all the elements, obviously, we have to shoot in the week that we had to film. So we had all the elements, and it was just kind of playing around with the elements.
Yeah, it's such a good episode of television. Just so truly fantastic. And
yeah, it was fun, and it was so great that Sam was there that day. And, we obviously had to keep the moment where Brennan, jumped off set and onto Sam. That was very important. Wait, did we keep that moment?
That's in there, yeah. As Brennan is screaming at him, "Can you smell the coffee in my beard?"
Yes, thank you. Yes. Okay, we did keep that moment. Yes. So yeah. Yeah, I'm just really glad how it came all together. And, obviously we're dealing with two incredible improvisers. So it was just really good material.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm curious. I know. Do you remember how much guidance you had to give in that episode? Were there many cuts that you were like, "Hey, can you make it weirder?" Or were they locked in?
No. Yeah, I mean, basically, like I definitely said to everyone, and I think I mentioned this about Zach's episode in particular because Zach was the last episode we shot, so he kind of even was able to take it even farther with like messing up the set. But it was just important to me because of the nature of like it being a sit down interview and you want people to be able to move around and stuff. I just said to Brennan, like, go nuts, like don't worry about the breaking the fourth wall. Like if you want to meander off set or whatever you want to do, like do it. Like don't worry about the cameras will follow you. And so that was really all I said about that. And then it went crazy from there. Really the only guidance that I had to give at all was kind of coming up with like a narrative. And I think when we first spoke, we talked about kind of like a narrative arc and how that is very important to me. And so when we're dealing with like, especially actually when we're dealing with like these really, really, really funny people where like everything is hilarious, you want to make sure that it's not just, 30 minutes of nonsense. Like we need to kind of figure out where is this going. So that all being said, any cut, it wasn't me giving like any different direction. And with this one, it definitely was not me ever saying go crazy or like they did that by themselves. If anything, it was just kind of like guiding it along into this kind of like all-encompassing arc.
Yeah. Yeah. So speaking of the first time we talked, I made a joke about how you used to do all these things where you were winning awards and now you're off doing this goofy little show. And now we're in the thick of Emmy projections for nominations. Well, how's that feel?
That's insane. I mean, look, like I'm not holding my breath. I'm very happy that like we're even in the conversation. I think like it's just, yeah, I mean, it's just amazing. Like I never had any idea how this show would be received at all, and I'm just feeling so fortunate that it's being received well, and that like it seems like we know at least we're doing a second season. I'm in pre-production for that right now. So I'm just hoping that like we can continue and it gets bigger and we can do crazier and crazier things with it.
Yeah. I mean, I obviously season 3 hasn't. Well, as far as I know, season 3 has not been greenlit. When I talked to Kyle Rohrbach, he said seasons 2 and 3, and I was like, "I'm sorry, what?" And he was like, "We haven't greenlit season 3, but it's nice to be optimistic." Like,
I mean, I'll tell you right now that there's been like 45 seasons that have been greenlit, and so we're just doing this until like I was gonna quickly do the math. I can't do that, but yeah.
Until Vic is an actual 85-year-old British man.
Exactly.
It's very fun because like obviously that Emmy's conversation, I not jokingly, but I told Vic they're going to win an Emmy for the show, and when I talked to Kyle, we talked about like the Emmy push of Game Changer, VIP, and Dimension 20, which unfortunately can't get nominated for Dungeons and Drag Queens. But it's really exciting to not only see that like the network obviously backing you, but like Clayton Davis, a huge name. I mean, the name really at Variety, in there being like, yeah, these are my 5 predictions. VIP and Vic are on it.
I know, that was just like every time I saw it, and then I saw like the little thumbnail with the photo of like the little thumbnail from our promo photos, and it was just like, this is just to even, I mean, look, like awards are awards. It's like most of it is political anyway, and so I think at the end of the day, it's like cool, but also for me it's really just the fact that we're like in the conversation at all, and that like people are responding well to it. And it's something that again, like I had no idea how anyone was going to take it. And like I think I'm feeling so fortunate that we have, I think all I do with you is like talk about how amazing the team is, but like I truly feel so fortunate that like it's just kismet. Like it really
Yeah.
is kismet between me and Vic, and then even I in post, and then David and Paul and Sam, and I mean really everyone. Like it's just we have such a good team, and everyone is truly there to make just the funnest thing that they possibly can.
Yeah. Well, speaking of at least David and Paul, because it's been a few episodes since we've chatted. Pig number 2, David
Oh,
Kearns getting his own dog. Just I mean, how I talked to Paul about it. Like obviously he was like I think he said you suggested the like photos of dogs,
yeah.
but then I think he was like, hey, what if you ran home and got your dog? I mean, how does that moment like land for you as the director of like a dog shows up?
Yeah, it was great. I mean, like on most, I think that's one of the really wonderful things about working for a show like Dropout, because if I was on a different project, it's very difficult to get animals in production, and you have to hire like an animal wrangler and get like a release, and like it's just not spontaneous. There's not it most productions don't leave room for this kind of spontaneous fun that we can have on VIP. So to be able to be like, we were on our little Slack channel and we're all kind of like I don't even remember the conversation, but how we're talking about it, and then it probably was Paul that said, why don't you run home? And then David was like, okay. And I'm like, wait, what? That's awesome. And like, or I think I was like, I wish we had a dog or something like that. And I don't even remember how it went, but like, luckily, David was able to run home, get the dog, and come back like before we had to wrap the day,
Yeah.
and it really made the episode. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Did Vic or Allie know a dog was on the way, or was that fully a surprise?
No, I think at one point I called cut and I said, okay, so we're actually going to get a real dog, and it's David's. And so, let's kind of do these pickups before we, like while we're waiting. But no, like they knew that the dog was
Yeah,
right
obviously.
on stage, but
Yeah.
we didn't. It really wasn't until 15 minutes before the dog showed up that we even knew that we were going to get a dog. That was like,
Oh god.
that was a very, very, very last minute decision.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I
I
know,
was like
like,
kicking myself like in the edit, because I'm so good with like details normally, and I was like, God damn it, we left the collar on. And that was like my biggest, I was so fixated, honestly. I can't even tell you, Jordan, like in post, I was like, I wish that this dog wasn't wearing a collar. Like I was like, it's supposed to be garbage dog. It's supposed to live in an alley and like all of this stuff. And I was just like, I was so fixated on that. But hopefully it didn't detract from
I'm very online. I didn't see a single person comment about the dog still having a collar, because everyone's actual question was, whose dog was that? And
yeah,
in fact,
like the cutest, most like well-behaved.
yes. In fact, I will say, I posted that video with Paul today talking about like getting David's dog on set, and someone commented on my video, I really thought it was just a dog they found in the alley. So that is how little the collar meant to someone.
Thank God. I know I just fixate on like the dumbest shit, but I'm glad that no one pointed that out.
No. Yeah, so delightful. Such a I mean, that episode, obviously like another very special episode, because it just, I mean, Vic broke immediately, and always so fun to see. Just like the wolf stepped on my mom's face is just such an Allie's laugh. I know, like I talked to Eve about this, like how infectious Allie's laugh is. But
so fun. And you know, the two of them, Vic and Allie, they improv with each other quite a bit, and it was Vic and Allie, and then also Vic and Zach, and Vic and Zach, and Vic and Jacob. I think
Yeah.
those are the three that Vic kind of performs with the most because they're all on an improv team together.
Yeti.
Yeti, yes. And so it was, I think those three especially, like they just have such a fun thing going. And so you know, like we edited out a lot of breaks in a lot of the episodes, but we did not, it was a very conscious choice to keep a lot of the breaks in Allie's episode as well as
Yeah.
Zach's.
Yeah, I'm actually. So, I mean, was there a lot of editing to have to do in Augbert, or did Vic like keep it together as well
Um,
as it seemed they did?
there were more breaks. There were more organic breaks in Allie and Zach. I think that yeah, they had more breaks for
Yeah.
sure. With Brennan, we didn't really edit out. With Brennan's episode, I think it was just a different vibe. Like Allie and Zach's episodes are like a little more kind of playful
Hmm.
and, you know, lighthearted. With Brennan's episode, I just kind of wanted to keep it, I really wanted to keep the viewer in the world of the episode, and like it just really fit the vibe not to have too many breaks in that one. So I did edit out some breaks, and then it is quite edited, as obviously, like, you know, as you can see, it's a very edited episode. But it not necessarily for the breaks, just for kind of the
Yeah.
narrative.
Yeah. And one of the things, and I love this about Brennan generally, is that he can be so silly, and then like in a moment's notice, drop like profound wisdom on you. The like
Oh my
you
gosh.
carry the rocks in your suitcase until you find a spot that you love and you put them down. Like what a beautiful sentiment from an absolute insane person. Like,
Who was saying, I was like, it was another one of those episodes where, you know, I couldn't sit because I was so engaged in, you know, the performance, and I was just standing and I had my, you know, hand over my mouth, and I just
oh, hold on one second. I'm so
oh, yeah.
sorry. Parker, just a minute, okay?
Oh, that's a good question. That's a
Why?
good question. He's like, why? That's a
Yeah.
good question. Um, yeah, so Brennan's episode again was like one of those ones where I was just kind of standing and watching the, you know, profound profound lines coming out of his mouth that were just, it's just very quick and it's very smart. It's, you know, he was just saying, as you said, he was just like spitting out, like he was like waxing poetic the
Yeah.
entire time.
Yeah, which I mean, for Dropout fans, no one was surprised that happened. It is very funny. I saw a few people that were like, "I cried while I was watching the episode." Like there were like moments that hit like so like profoundly emotional of this like man with a full beard full of chips and coffee is just such a funny contrast. Um, uh, yeah.
Yeah, the chips the chips were great. Yeah, all of that stuff, like I definitely did not have to direct. Like that was really all just Brennan just, you know, really going to town on it, which, you know, I think once I said let the cameras follow you and there are no rules, I think that's kind of the most fun thing to say to an improviser, I think. And so, you know, for me it's really just it's not about changing what they do at all. It's about like guiding it to shape kind of like shape a narrative. And
Yeah.
that's really, and we only have an hour and some change to make that happen. So that's
Yeah.
really what it was.
And this, yeah, I know, like, and you talked about, I know Nana was another one where you were just like up walking around the whole time.
Nana, Zach, for sure. Yeah, Nana, I think I said the least amount of cuts in Nana for sure.
Yeah.
Nana's really was I think I honestly maybe called cut once to I think we even talked about this. I think I called cut once to like suggest, where it could go. Because again, like it's really important to have a beginning, middle, and end. And then Brennan was another one of those where there really weren't that many
Yeah.
cuts.
Also, just FYI, there is a fly in my room, and if I suddenly do that, it's because it's buzzing
so
around me.
Annoying. I
Yes.
hate that so much.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I just saw it. I just
Did
saw it.
you?
I just saw it. I want to like grab it for you.
Yes. Yeah. Obviously, like, Brennan. I mean, like, I get why Brennan became the finale. Made a lot of sense. It was also super fun because we got callbacks of like Denzel living in the guest house. We get the Princess Emily song on Avery Goodman's clock radio, like as Vic is waking up the Chomsky's chips, which I mean that's more of a generic dropout callback, but still. Is there any part of you that wishes it had been taped later so that you could have put even more references to the whole show?
Yeah, it's funny. It's like, I think the nature of the show, like, yes, of course, I would like to have more kind of control of the narrative, right? But like at the same time, the whole reason that the show works, I think, is because none of us know what order it's going to be in. We don't know, like we're really just kind of creating a framework in which to, play around with. And then, as I've said before about Eve, it's like, we have the luxury of having this like incredible editor to, play around with even more. And so, yes, like I think that like if I think like it's like I think the controlling part of me, yes, wishes that, but the part of me that's like, oh, for the sake of the show, we do need to stay true to the structure and the, how the show is. And so like I think that like, as long as we have like Vic and I know we've both talked about this with you. Like we have this, kind of like lore and backstory that we talk about a lot, that we're talking about more for season 2. And as long as like we both have it in the back of our minds, it can come up. And like, so yeah, I think that like I think that how it's going is kind of exactly how I want it to be, as far as like just having enough callbacks. Also, I'll say that the Anna song, that was a very, very last minute post decision. So
yeah,
that was not something that we even thought of until, we edited.
Yeah, a perfect touch. Yeah,
that was Sam's idea, and I think everyone was just like, yes, absolutely. Great idea.
Yeah, it's so good. Yeah, speaking of, oh my God, the fly is so much right in front of my face.
I see it, and like I'm annoyed for you. Like I want to go like
yeah.
I just
and there's nothing I can do about it because I could flail wildly.
it
but
reminds me of like, this is dating me a lot, but there was it was Mario. It was like Super Mario Music or Super Mario something like that. I think it was for Super Mario Super Nintendo, and it was a Mario Paints. That's what it was called.
Yeah.
There was like a little mini fly swatter game that all you did was you swatted this fly, and I feel like I want this to be interactive.
Yes. Boy, it would be great for me if it was. Vic backstory. One of the things that like was amazing about sort of the order that you chose was having Martha and Lucian be second to last meant we learned in the penultimate episode that Bianca is the same age as host Vic, which is so funny and like paints an entirely new light on the entire season, of every time Vic mentioned their stepdaughter to be like, wait, the stepdaughter is your age? Like, it's just such a beautiful touch that like obviously it was. I mean, I'm assuming it was not the only reason it came so late, but was that a consideration of like, boy, this is going to really like spike this point like so late in the season?
Yeah, I think you just nailed it. Like it wasn't the reason that it was, in that order, but we certainly look at everything and it's like there's many different it's kind of like when we're figuring it out the order. God, we went through so many different iterations of order, and even after the premiere with Anna, we were still changing the order. And I think, as I mentioned before, like we're editing as we're going. We're not editing everything all at once and then releasing. Like I think the first time I talked to you, we had only even edited the first couple episodes, maybe. So yeah, we're kind of like as we're kind of like shaping the episodes, we're seeing like, where is this kind of overall series arc, in a very loose term going. And we're and kind of there's multiple factors. Like for example, I mean, this is like a very basic kind of superficial factor, but I wouldn't want like three teams all together, so just stuff like that. But then yes, as also the lore, also the pacing, like I think that like Lisa and Zach's episodes like are very animated and big, and then there's certain episodes that like are a little bit kind of like more grounded and kind of quiet, and then there's episodes that have a lot more prosthetics, and so we're kind of looking at all of those different factors and putting them together.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it certainly makes sense.
I know
The Fly. It was okay for a while. It was like off in that corner, and now it's decided like it has to be here.
Is this just like a now thing? How long has that fly been in your office?
Like right before I started recording, as far as I know. It followed me in here when I closed the door.
It's just shitty irony of it all.
Yeah.
But we're having really good. Everything's being. We're syncing well. My internet's not freezing.
No, I'm not out of sync, which is exciting because I have been for the last several interviews that I've done, including I talked to Vic last week, I think, and at one point, they asked me if I could have dinner with anyone living or dead, who would it be? And I went to say, I was like, I would have dinner with you. And I went to point at them as I am doing now. And I pointed in the wrong direction, at least for me on camera. And the problem is that I was on like a 2-second delay of like video. And so not only did I point in the wrong direction, as I was doing it, I was like, I'm pointing in the wrong direction. And then I had to watch myself point in the wrong direction. And I was like, I hate this so much.
Oh, I love that question though. So if you were to have dinner with anyone dead, who would it be?
It was, I mean, Vic immediately demanded that I answer it real. So it was Tolkien. I have a very hefty obsession.
I love that. What about fictional?
Fictional? Ooh, boy. I mean, like Thor, but Marvel Thor, not the like Norse Thor, because he's bad news. But like, yeah, like Marvel Comics Thor, very lovely person. Ooh, the fly was real close to the camera.
I saw it. It scared me for a second.
What about you? Living or dead or fictional?
Oh gosh,
I can tell you whose Vic's was. If you Vic, well, first of all, Vic was like, it was a president, but I can't think of who. And I was like, okay, well that
any president.
Yeah, and I was like, and so as we were like struggling to like come to like who it was, they were like, he was an actor, and I was like, Ronald Reagan, and they were like, yeah, and then I'd poison his food. And it was like incredible, and that was like that was the last like thing we talked about on the show.
Drop
and we're done. Yeah.
I think I don't know. There's right now I would probably say Alfred Hitchcock or Lucille Ball. I think that either of those are two of my like favorite kind of iconic people that I just want to like get into their brains a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, I mean, we called it Lynchian, but Hitchcockian also probably a good way to describe Augbert of just like, I mean, truly a nightmare.
Nightmare. Yeah, I would.
Yeah.
If you're not familiar with the director Samuel Fuller, I would look him up.
Hmm.
He's a big inspiration for me, and he did this movie called Shock Corridor that was from like I believe 1960 something. But he just does these like he actually in that one it was opposite where it was all black and white, and then he has one colored scene that just turns into color, and it's like it is like a fever dream, and it's a really 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 cool kind of very out there story. And yeah, I think that like again, like I'm happy that every single episode has like a completely different vibe, you know?
Yeah.
Some are
Um,
gonna
uh,
love it, some are gonna love it.
Yeah, it's one of the things that I mean, I've seen people like rank, which I don't care to do. Of like, I'm fine if you're like, this isn't my favorite, but like, don't rank the whole season. There's no reason for that. But it was always funny when I saw people like, "What's your favorite episode?" And I would kind of scroll through the comments, and basically at some point, everyone like one of the episodes was someone's favorite. Like it wasn't like a,
Yeah.
like it wasn't like all I haven't seen one since Augbert. Maybe that has replaced everyone's favorite. I don't know. But like prior to that, like, there was, Avery and Nana and Denzel. Like it was just a mixture of people's favorites, which I think really is a testament to how different each episode is.
Yeah, I mean, I love that. Like, I think honestly, that's my favorite part of you know, the whole series. It's like it really is so dependent on the improviser and the guest, and like, every single person we've had on as a guest is so funny, and they're all going to bring something completely different to the table, and it's just up to us on set and then also in post to lean into whatever type of humor they're giving us, and just really kind of like, yeah, like I think that's why, for Allie's, like Allie is so lovable and so like infectious, like their laughter is so infectious, and it's like, and they were breaking Vic, and like Vic was having so much fun with them, and so it was just like that type of episode, in a million years couldn't have like the same like intensity as
Mhm.
Brennan's, for example. So it's just really, again, like a collaboration that it starts with the interview, and it really just, we all shape it from there.
Yeah. One of the other episodes that we haven't talked about because we hadn't spoken yet, Leanna,
Oh
just
yeah.
absolute
Love
magic.
Izzy. Yeah.
Izzy Rowland, goodness gracious. That one's like I think Nana is still my favorite. Ooh, but Augbert might have passed Nana. But Izzy's is certainly up there. Like Leanna's what just like devastated me. Really specifically, Alexa look different.
Oh my gosh.
And I
Genius.
I was I had the same reaction Vic did, which is you can see on their face as they're processing what like Izzy just said. It's so brilliant.
I know. No, that one was really fun. I don't think we did talk about that one. I might have talked about this in Last Lux, I'm sure I did, but basically that one was, so the one of the most fun things about the show for me is we come up with these looks, like the looks of the costumes and the looks of the makeup, and then it's really up to the improviser to decide where they want to take it, and we'll be there for kind of support and to help them figure it out, but truly, like, uh everyone's going to take it in a completely different direction. And so that one actually in particular, our idea of what that was going to be was so different than what it ended up as in like the best way. So it was very surprising for us how Izzy took it, and
Yeah.
it worked obviously so well.
Yeah, I know. It was also funny. I talked to Izzy recently as well about a bunch of stuff, but about VIP. And she was like talking about how heavy all of like the wig and the dress and everything was, and she's like, and then I saw Oscar's episode. He's wearing a vest.
I know. Poor Izzy. Like, we put her in like we literally put her in real foliage. And like, we had like a custom crown made from like someone that worked on the D20. And, like it was just really, I mean, she did have like I think she had the most constructed costume. Like, our wardrobe stylist, Vanessa, she went out and literally bought plants from the flower district, and it was, and obviously kind of like custom made the dress. It was and what was really, really cool about that one is that Izzy had zero prosthetics on and looked completely different, which was cool.
Yeah, I know. I mean, it's so funny. Like, even looking back, I remember when the poster first came out, people were guessing who the actors were in the poster, and not just like Denzel. Like, people were guessing like, who is this other person? I mean, even like I think when that episode was coming out, the week it was coming out, people were like, I didn't know that was Izzy. Like, such a transformation.
What a difference like a fake spray tan and a wig makes, right?
Yeah. Such a good episode. I tried to write down everyone we hadn't talked about, because I don't think we talked about Jasper and Casper.
Oh gosh, yeah, that one was like, the first one we shot. So, God, I felt so lucky that they had such a good dynamic with each other, and that like I felt very lucky that they were the first episode, because I was nervous as all hell when we started filming. So they made it very easy.
Yeah, they also did one of like my favorite things, which is they took the obvious thing and threw it out the window of like, we're not going to be twins, we're going to be a married couple. Like,
don't even think we look like each other.
Yes, so much funnier.
And that one was so funny because like the joke was supposed to be that they're gonna look so different, and then they, in the wigs with the moles and the outfits, like they look actually pretty similar.
And then obviously Martha and Lucian, our penultimate episode.
That one was really, really fun to edit. That one I kind of just took like my my teenage and early 20s angst and music and my favorite music, and just really like channeled it into the post on that one. I think for the music video, my inspo that I threw out to TJ, our VFX person, was 9 Inch Nails and Skinny Puppy. So that was that.
Yeah, I think that one is the I want to say best use of the green screen, because the music videos were so much fun. I say that as I am immediately thinking about the Chomsky's commercial, but like that doesn't count because it was a fever dream. That one's in a whole separate like category.
Absolutely, yeah. The music. I mean, we knew that Rashawn and Ross were just going to be so brilliant with music, obviously, and so it was just. Like, we knew that whatever they were going to do, like, we were going to end up doing something related to music. And, and I'm glad that we did, and I'm glad it went that way. But it was, that was a really, really, really fun one to edit. And I think that was, because that was the one that we decided that, like, anytime Ross went on, like, his little rant, we would, like, make the lighting, like, more and more intense in post. It was, that one was super fun. And Ross, I think I said in the last looks, maybe, I hadn't ever met Ross. And then by the nature of how we were shooting, like, I was so, like, back and forth between doing the reveal and just really like back and forth from like the stage to the makeup room. And so I didn't get to meet Ross before he got in hair and makeup. And so I had never seen him. And like I met him in makeup and I'm like, he looks totally awesome. Like I like don't see the difference at all. And then I looked at I met him after he took his makeup off and was like, wow, that was a very big transformation.
Yeah. Yeah, Ross and Brennan are two of the like I can drop into a monologue at a moment's notice people I've ever seen. Just like you want an intense world building monologue and go like
It was way too natural a role for him. I was like, this seems really, really, really you, and I've never met you, and this is like.
Well, I loved it in that like in the reveal when he's like, oh, but for a couple of decisions, this
Totally.
would be me.
Yeah. I could absolutely see that. Yeah, that one was so fun. Alex and I think we probably talked about this in Last Looks. We like had really fun. We had so much fun like coming up with the custom tattoos, and like we have some little Easter eggs with like my daughter's named Lizard, and so there's like a lizard dog, and my daughter's birthday is one of the tattoos and stuff like that. So it was just like a really, really fun one to design. And then again, like I feel like it was like really close to how I was in my 20s, minus the priest and nun outfit. So it was just like, yeah, it was great.
Yeah, it was such a fun one. I love. I mean, they obviously they have a brilliant dynamic. They've worked together so much, but like having them like do that, like because they both kind of did that thing where it'd be like the real intense whatever satanic thing, and then the other person jumps in with like the very like youth group recommend like advice. So good. Yeah, is it? I don't know if do we talk about Avery Goodman? I don't remember which episodes we've talked about at this point. I wrote down Avery Goodman because I don't think we had. Also,
I'm not sure if we talked about Avery Goodman, but yeah, he was like, I love that episode. I love the inventions were like a very, very, very last minute addition that we were like piecing together. We were like even piecing some of them together like as he was in hair and makeup, and then the claw was a part of the costume, and then the helmet was a part of the costume, so those were planned. Everything else was kind of like very, very, very thrown together. And then we like just so happened to have a pager since we had kind of like a random prop table. So at some point when he decided that he was going to play this kind of like unassuming evil, you know, politician villain type of inventor person, that's when we were like, okay, let's go to the prop table and see, you know, what we can throw together.
Yeah, I know I talked to him about it, and so two things. One, your makeup department fully fooled him because I guess Gabby drew a line across his neck, like he like it,
or something.
Yeah, so he thought like the eye covering was like an eyeball that was hanging loose, and he was like a zombie or something, that like his throat had been slit, like and like there was nothing on his neck. Gabby just fully like tricked him into thinking that. So
he did such a good job with that. I feel like unfortunately now we need a new fake out for like the next season, because people are going to be trying. I feel like the kind of like fake outs could really only happen in season 1 a little bit. This time we're gonna have to like literally bring like, you know, fake like sparkles for like a zombie and you know whatever. But
the other thing BDG told me was that like he didn't have in his mind where it was going until Vic was like, so you're running for city council or mayor or whatever it was, and he was like, oh, got it. And then like they like just like that like brilliant improv together. And
that was really cool to see him and Vic, because Vic and I think he was one of the very few people that Vic, I don't even think had met before.
Had not, no.
Yeah, and so it was really, really, really cool to see both of their just like generosity as far as improv and performance went. You know, it was like a really it was really refreshing. He's also one of like the loveliest humans I've ever met, and
Yeah.
it was like, yeah, that was a blast, honestly. And then the inspo for that one was which he took it a totally different way as well, was Rick Moranis in Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
Mm-hmm.
And he obviously took it into a little bit more of kind of like a
Right.
evil, you know, route. But it was, yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah. Well, looking back on this whole season, now that we're sitting here at the end of it, anything you can think back, surprised, like audience reactions, things you thought were going to land harder and didn't, anything like that that jumps out at you?
That is a really good question. I think audience reaction for sure. I am very happy with the audience reaction. So pleasantly surprised with that. I would say just my experience has been so just fun, and like I'm not surprised by that, but it's, you know, yeah, it truly has just been like, yeah, just kind of very fun. Like it's been a very, very, very fun process. I don't know if anything is like, there's always kind of things that happen on set, any set that I'm on, that, you know, things don't go as planned, and you have to kind of pivot very quickly, or in post something looks a lot different than, you know, you intend it to look or whatever. So I don't think really anything surprising in production, but I think just how, yeah, just kind of the response of it has been
Yeah.
wonderful, like really,
Yeah.
really, really wonderful.
It's delightful. I know. A couple of things. One, Julia Stark wanted me to let you know she is available if you want an illustrator for season 2.
Oh my
She's the one
gosh.
that draws all that. I mean, one of the people that draws all the incredible art. Yeah.
Yeah, it's Julia Stark and then Mr.
Dork.
Nickel. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Dork Zombie.
And
Yes.
Dork Zombie. Yes. Yeah. There's a handful of people that like every week are knocking out like art so fast too. It
So
blows my
quickly
mind.
and
Yeah.
so amazing. And I'm like, I just wish I could frame all of this, but at least it exists on the internet
Yeah.
forever. And
Yes.
yeah, I know. I want them. I'm just excited. I'm gonna miss, like, over the next few months, I'm gonna miss seeing these like amazing illustrations come out.
Yeah. This is just a plug. I don't know I'm not going to try and get like names out of you or anything. But Vic just did the Phantom Menace table read or reading, and Bobby Moynihan was played Darth Maul and went into full Darth Maul makeup with like horns glued on. So, which is the funniest part of that is Darth Maul has like 3 lines in the Phantom Menace, so like full face makeup, horns glued on, bald cap, everything to have like 3 lines is so funny. Anyway,
Love
a
that.
great addition for season 2.
Okay, noted, and we will see what happens.
Anything you can tease about season 2 that you can say?
Oh gosh.
It's fine if the answer is no.
Well, we're very, very early on. We are going to be doing more episodes this season than last season, so
Love it.
Yeah, I think I can say that pretty confidently. We're gonna have. I definitely can't say anything about the casting, and none of it's actually even solidified. We're kind of just talking about it, but I'm very excited about some of the names that we're throwing out there.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's kind of all I really can say, but I'm super, I'm very, very excited, although, you know, what am I going to say? Like, I'm not excited. Like, I'm really not excited to film season 2. No, I'm super, 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 super stoked. And I've been like anxiously awaiting going into pre-production for this. So I'm just like, we're going to be filming, in about a month and a half now, and we'll be kind of planning it this whole time until then. And I like truly, truly, truly can't wait for everyone to see it. And I could say something else, but I'm gonna wait.
Great. The bad news is I won't remember. So like the next time we talk, you can be like, if you were like, hey, remember the thing I told you I was going to wait on? It's going to be gone from my memory.
Funny. Yeah, no, I think that like what I do hope to do next season is I do hope to do the last time we did the last looks like quite a while after we shot, and I forgot a lot. Like my brain was already elsewhere when we were doing the last looks. So this time around, I do really want to do the last looks like right after we stop filming, so I can kind of, you know, give a little bit more backstory and not just like the hair and makeup, but also kind of like fun stuff that happened on set.
Yeah, people have asked me like, hey, what, you know, like, because obviously I know Brennan was shooting while Izzy was in makeup.
Yeah.
Because then Brennan stayed and watched. I have that one. But people are like, all right, so Sam was there that day. What other days was Sam there? And like, how many days, like, who was on what day? And I was like, I don't know. And I'm not sure that the people who made the show remember.
Well, and that's the problem. Like, and that's stuff that I would know if I would be able to say it if we filmed the last looks where I could kind of like rehash everything, you know, right afterwards. I think that's hopefully what we're talking about doing this time around. Because I have to say, like, my memory is not great. So I'm just like, I'm trying to remember as we're talking. I can say definitely a lot more about the edits than I can about what happened on set right now.
Yeah.
Sure.
Well, and also, I mean, like, beyond Augbert being a fever dream of an episode, like, everything I've heard is that, like, it's just, like, you go in and you're like, it's just gone immediately.
Well, that's the thing. It's like we're shooting 3 episodes a day, and that's not going to change for season 2. We're going to be shooting 3 episodes a day. And, you know, with the filming and the hair and makeup and, like, you know, and the ancillary content, like the pickups and, you know, like I shot the photos of Vic for the promotional stuff, and like all of that stuff is happening within, you know, days. So it literally, like, I'm very present for everything, and it just goes like in one ear and out.
I mean, I'm assuming season 2 will see building on host Vic backstory.
That is absolutely something that we've already been talking about. We have a whole Google Doc and you know, basically stuff that we like, even like, since we don't remember a lot of what happens until I'm like editing, you know, like stuff like Vic's stepdaughter being the same age as them, like we you know, just wrote that in the doc, and you know, stuff like that, because we fully intend to just build on the backstory, and I think it can only help the whole kind of series arc.
Someone asked me if there was anything you could like tease that wasn't used as part of Vic's like backstory, but I'm assuming that it could be built into season 2. So
I mean, honestly, if there was, I don't remember. So I
also
think
fair.
I'm sure there was, but I don't even think it would get into season 2, because I don't think any of us would remember it, and we would have to look at the raw footage to even know. But I think it's safe to say that anything that has been built into Vic's backstory that's significant will definitely be expanded on.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Well, this has been absolutely delightful. And do you want to plug the Jinx finale coming up this Sunday on HBO?
God, I am so behind right now because of Baby Reindeer, and I need to get back into Jinx. But yes, like, we haven't even talked about that.
I know. It's such a good documentary. And we've messaged about like how you thought it was going to be kind of like a fluff documentary because it's the trial and like it's over and whatever, and then it's so much more than that.
So smart, like it's just a testament to like how, because you never know, and that's actually, you know, season 2s of things, you have no idea. You don't know if something's going to be just fluff or not, and you know, it's with the first season coming out in what, 2017?
I think 2015.
That is crazy. And then
Yeah.
yeah, and then all of that stuff happened, and then I like started watching it, and I was like, yeah, this is just gonna be fluff. Like they're basically gonna turn, you know, like the trial into just kind of like one long fluffy thing. And
Yeah.
it ends up, it's like so good. So yes, I have nothing
Yeah.
to do with the Jinx, but people should watch it. It's
People should
incredible.
watch it. Yeah, no spoilers since you said you aren't current. But like the trial is over now, and there's one episode left, and I
Okay.
think it's going to be about his wife, like the
Yeah.
current wife, or not current, but because he's
Oh
dead.
yeah,
But
who is
um,
such a character. Oh my
yeah,
gosh.
yeah. They're like the final like shot of this most recent episode was like a thing where I was like, wait, what's about to happen? Which is, I mean, just brilliant filmmaking.
Amazing. Oh,
Yeah.
that is actually something that I can, this isn't like any sort of information, but last time we didn't have as much time before shooting to like build the costumes and the looks.
Mm-hmm.
And this time, like Alex and I are talking about it a lot sooner. And so she's going to be able to get more kind of like custom prosthetics and like, you know, really do like people's castings of their faces and everything. So it is going to be like the costumes were great. The looks were great last time. Alex is even going to like push it this time, which is going to be great.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know some folks are sad that there's no Emmy nomination for Alex for this, but Alex has other Emmy nominations.
Oh,
So
Alex. Well, we don't have a nomination yet. We have
yes, but a short list. The show is not put forward Alex for makeup, but also like it would be going up against other shows that Alex has worked on, like The Mandalorian. And while I love the makeup in VIP, I don't know if it hits like Disney budget level makeup.
Yeah, but Alex is like, you know, again, like one of the, so we're so lucky to have her and her team, and
Yeah.
they deserve like every single award that exists. They're just like, they're brilliant and
Agreed.
total pleasure
Amazing.
to work with. So
Yeah.
anyway,
Right.
yeah.
This has been absolutely delightful. As always, I don't know how to end an interview, so I'm just going to hit stop recording.
And